Hello and good day. Welcome to It's Your Life, Own It. My name is Marisa Bludorn. I am your host and I am the editor-in-chief of Own It Magazine and Publishing. Today we're going to be talking about, well, first of all, this is a personal development platform and we focus on self-awareness, self-development, and self-mastery. Today we'll be talking about story and authenticity, the power of story in leadership. Our focus is on crafting and sharing your personal narrative to inspire others. Taking center stage and owning it with me is Dr. Stephanie Reed, Nathaniel X. Ross, and Pastor Daraine Irvin. Welcome. Hello, everybody. It's so excited to be back here. We are at the top of March, and we are honing in on our personal leadership. And so the question of the day is, what is that question? How personal storytelling and leadership fosters trust and authenticity within a team. And so our focus is on inspiring others. And so I'm going to charge you with that, Dr. Reed. Share with us your perspective on that storytelling and authenticity.
Well, inspiring others. First of all, I want to say good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? Nice to see everybody. Okay, now that I got that excitement out of the air, I think one of the things that fosters team building is that excitement of telling your story. Because what that does is that tells the other team that they can, right? When you don't know the story behind the leader, you don't know how to show up. And for people who are uncomfortable in their own skin or uncomfortable with authority or uncomfortable in teams, they might not be able to share their greatest asset in the team if they feel uncomfortable. And so sharing your story lets people know, oh, wow, he's human. Wow, that's similar to what I've experienced. And it kind of sets the tone of authenticity from the gate. You know, if I know your story, you know my story, there's less likely an opportunity for pretense. And when you operate on pretense, then you're operating from an uncomfortable and unstable, unbalanced place. So I think when you share your story, you're saying, look, we're all human. We all have a job to do. Collectively, we're going to do it better together. Let's share who we are. Let's take the mask off and let's set the foundation from that perspective. And I think from there, everybody will feel a sense of belonging, right? We belong to stories. We connect with stories. We grow from stories. We heal from stories. And I think that's the power of sharing stories within a team. Sets the foundation.
Authenticity is so important because in authenticity, you do find rest because you're not trying to make anything up. You're not trying to remember something. It is from a true, authentic place. And so I'm going to move over. And it's also, too, what room you're in, right? Are you at the lead of the room? And are you inspiring the masses? Or are you having a one-on-one conversation and being authentic and sharing? Or are you in the room and it's a networking thing where you're sharing your story? So it also depends on where you're coming in and where you're standing in the room. Nathaniel, your thoughts?
I agree with Dr. Stephanie and what she shared. And I would just add to that vulnerability. Again, you got to know your audience, you understand who you're speaking to. But if you come from a vulnerable space, people are going to make the connection to you. And I remember doing I was a corporate manager for training, to travel the world, training employees for Fortune 400 company. And as we do the training, we got scripts because the scripts had to be pre-approved before we could go out and do the training around the world. And even though the people knew my team, they knew we were reading from scripts because we were open and honest with them. And in the middle of doing one, I just said, you know what, I got to stop this here. And I had to authentically answer a question that someone had posed to me. I said, off script now, let me answer your question. I answered the person's question and said, okay, now I'm going back on. At the end of the conversation or at the end of the training session, I was bombarded with people saying that was so refreshing to have someone talk with us from an authentic place. So it's a matter of being vulnerable and being willing to share, but you also have to do the precautions of when to do that and when not to do it.
And I think that I've shared in some of our either contributing writer meeting conversations in regards to me plummeting. I remember delivering a speech during Toastmasters, and it was about my first conference. And because it was so personal to me, I was reading scripts. Now, I'm someone who speaks off the cuff. I am prepared, but I speak more powerfully when I speak off the cuff. And so I had all these scripts because I wanted to be so professional. And so I was out of my element, and I crashed right in front of them. I was just like a deer in headlights. And I looked over to one of my partners who was working with me on the conference, one of my speakers for the conference. And she just left me like, she just looked at me like, girl, I don't know what's going on with you. It was bizarre for the room because they're used to me being so powerful and coming and speaking so direct and with such great passion. But when it came to something that was my own, although I valued it, it was so personal. And because it was so personal, I got outside of myself. Well, I looked at her and I said to her, I wish I could just sit down. I leaned in just like this. I said, I wish I could just sit down, but I couldn't. So I had to turn around and just like you, Nathaniel, get real and say to them, you have to understand that this is my baby. This is, we go and we talk for other companies. We talk for other, organizations and things like that. And we could do that well. But when it comes to our own, there's something that happens to us that it's not that we devalue what we're offering. It's just so personal to us, and we're so overwhelmed with having the audacity and the tenacity to just go out and do this thing. And so I had to get real with them. And when I got real with them and real with myself, I got back in alignment right in front of this audience. And it goes to show, and afterwards, Vince, one of my fellow Toastmasters, Northeast Philly, came to me. He said, Marisa, people don't come back. When they're doing public speaking like that, if they crash like that, they normally pivot left and just exit the stage. He said, so it took a lot for you to come back up and be real. And what that realness does is it resonates with people about not being perfect, not worrying about being perfect, be true to yourself. So Pastor Derain, I'm going to tap in with you because I know you have a lot to say. Share your thoughts on today's topic.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is so great to be back with everyone again. When we talk about telling our story, for me, I try not to use scripts unless it's absolutely mandated by someone else, because like you, it's coming from my heart. So it's better when it is off the cuff. Now, of course, I have notes that I study from, but when I come in front of people, I'm more comfortable if I'm just sharing from knowledge and from my heart and from my experiences. When I tell stories, for example, when I'm speaking to teachers, they could relate more to me because I would start most of the time with a negative experience, but then I brought it around to how from that failure, I learned from it and it allowed me to grow. And so in sharing that, just like you said, Dr. Reed, they're like, oh, wait, she's human. She makes mistakes. Absolutely. But the most important thing about making a mistake is that you learn from it so you don't keep repeating that same mistake. So when I do tell stories, I don't tell all the pie in the sky and I'm in my promised land. No, I've been on the mountaintop, but I also tell and share when I've been in the valley. The same thing when I minister, whether it's the pastors, elders, ministers, or lay people. I'm real. I don't have a mask. Well, maybe I do have a mask, but I don't wear it that often because I want people to see the genuineness. And I think that's why when Christ walked the earth, so many people related to him because he was honest and they could see the purity of his heart. And that's what I want people to see when I'm speaking to them. I want them to see that we're going somewhere. I'm trying to take you on this journey with me. As the book says, going from good to great. Well, let's go from great to greater and greater to the greatest. But through our storytelling, it motivates people. It encourages people. It says, if she can do it, I can do it too, because God is not a respecter of person. Just like she crashed and burned, I've crashed and burned, but guess what? I can get up, dust myself off, and I ain't going to look like what I've been through, and I ain't going to smell like smoke, even though I walk through the fire. And I think it's important that we let people know it's okay to fail. That is how we grow. But if we never tell those stories, they don't see us as real, and they will spot a fake in a minute, like a fake $100 bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're so right. That's so good. Being transparent, being authentic, as Nathaniel said, being vulnerable, it creates that connectivity. And you guys will always hear me talk about high performance teams, is because, that's just me as the CEO and the editor-in-chief of Own It Magazine and Publishing. I love transparency. Some people say that's TMI, too much information. No, it's not, because we need to talk. When someone is going through, you need to be able to know that they're going through something or that they experience different things. It will help you to connect with them in a deeper and more profound way, in the sense that I know that Stephanie went through this. Not that you're going to coddle anything, but you're going to make sure that you're aware and you're sensitive to some of the things that you say. It's just like diversity. It's so important for us to know the differences in our cultures. Like you said, Pastor Durain, when we were backstage about going to Hawaii and feeling so welcome there. Well, you know that that's the culture. So when you come, you're going to come with expectations for everyone to be open and to be ready to talk to you and share their stories and feel like you're at home again. That's going to be so. Doing this, sharing stories and telling stories for inspiration is critically important for us to have lifelong impact, because people are always going to refer back to your story. I can remember hearing in my ear different things that have been said and shared with me along my life's journey, that when I'm faced with certain situations, that sound and that voice of reason, of insight and experience comes back to me, and it's a reminder to say, hey, Marisa, well, so-and-so went through this. Well, now this is a tool or a resource I can use to overcome in this part of my life. Case in point, I've been listening to Miles Monroe. Love him to pieces, okay? He's gone, but his messaging is still here.
Yes.
His storytelling is still here. It's legacy work. It's life long. It extends beyond his actual physical being here, and it still permeates in our minds today. And so I want to say to you, it fosters integrity because it's accountability. So you tell a story, and I've had people say to me, after I spoke, Marisa, you talk about yourself a lot. And it's not that I'm talking about myself a lot. I'm sharing with you my experiences. I'm sharing with you my perspective. I'm sharing with you my methodology, my approach, how I handle something. I'm sharing with you the truth because it's my story. If I share Dr. Reed's story, it may not be as accurate and on point, or it may not even be true, right? So the safest place for me as a leader and how I choose to lead is to share with you the things that I've gone through. Anything that has been proven invalid and proven to be true, that's what I will share with those I come in contact with. And this study right here just really shares the importance of leaders just being truly authentic, right? And keeping it real with people so that people have realistic goals. So it fosters integrity because there's accountability. It influences commitment, right? Because when people connect with you deeply, now they're more committed to you. right?
Mhm.
And so this is what you want to do with those people you influence. And this mindset and this approach can be used in just your at work, with your teams that you have at work, if you're in a position of formal position of leadership, and even if you don't have a formal position of leadership, understand that you can use this approach to just influencing your own teammates, right? So if you're not the leader, you can use this approach and this mindset to influence others on your team for the greater good, right? So commitment, collaboration. Now I want to work with you because I know you, right? Adaptability, because now we know that nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes, but we can bounce back. A standard of excellence, because we all want to improve. That's why we're sharing these stories. We're sharing to say,
Mhm.
hey, I fell, but I got back up. I didn't give in or cave in or quit. And again, accountability and innovation. It fosters creativity, because now that someone hears you, they connect with you, now they can dismantle. Now the mask can come off because they know it's a safe place for them. And once they know that it's a safe place for them, now they can focus on what matters most, and that's their performance and how they're showing up. Now they can rise to that standard of excellence because the pathway is clear. And so, those are the things when I thought about this topic for this month. Those are the things that came to my mind, was that just sharing that everyday mindset and perspective, and how we can now take that and apply it in our personal lives, where we're not having this conversation. And Nathaniel and I will always talk about that. We're not having that conversations that need to be had in order for us to improve, to be in alignment with that fulfilling life that we all desire and deserve to live. And so I want Dr. Stephanie, as you're thinking, I know your mind is going, share with us your closing thoughts. Nathaniel, you follow after her, and then Pastor Durant.
Closing thoughts are kind of like they're like a loaded statement, because this topic can go on forever, because it's so important that stories live forever. And so that's my closing remark, that recognize that what you've heard amongst the panel were authentic offerings of parts of our stories, right? And I, as a coach, I've been a naturopath for 20 years, but a coach for women over 40. And one of the things that I find myself saying quite often when I hear a woman's story, I go, wow, I've experienced that, or I've experienced something similar. And they go, really? You too? And I go, girl, yeah, me too. And then that creates this cohesion of willingness to move forward, to move the needle forward. As Dr. Durain says, go from better to best, and then bestest and betterer. You didn't say that, but I know what you meant. And we can do that when we share those stories, because they do resonate like a bell sometimes in our subconscious, to keep us moving forward. When we've heard that story, that gives us that clarity that we can, yeah, I can too. She did it, I can too. I'm inspired by that. I'm moved by that. And so these stories should ring like a bell in your spirit at the right moment when you need it. And that's why they're important, because that's when you remember them. When you're going through something, you go, oh, such and such told me about that. Okay. And then you can settle into, okay, this is just part of my journey. I can win still, even in the midst of this, because I heard that powerful story. So that's my last statement.
Yeah, for this segment, Nathaniel.
Well, I wrote. My brain was going as everyone's talking, and I wrote down two things. And first thing is energy. If you're going to get up, everybody thinks that they're a speaker, and everybody has they create their own platforms on social media and get out there and think that they're a leader, et cetera, so forth. And when people speak, you can feel the energy or the lack thereof of energy in their speaking and presentations. But the tricky part about it is the second part that I wrote down was discernment. because there are some people who can speak very well and create the energy that's going to make you feel good and make it memorable, but the substance is no good. And we have people who have the substance that may not be as articulate or as energetic or as empowering as the people who are kind of just putting it out there and you're feeling good about it. So discernment becomes really important in the process. I put out as a caution for everyone is feel the energy, but use discernment in terms of how you use the information, not just because it feels good, but do the research and the logical stuff behind it in addition to how it makes you feel.
Absolutely.
Very good.
Wow, very powerful. Dr. Stephanie, it's funny you would say best to bestest because I actually say that to my teachers. I was like, I want you to go from best to better to bestest. And I say, and I can say bestest because I'm a preacher. You know, we make up words all the time and we laugh about it. But Marissa, one thing that you said that is so important, we do talk about a lot about ourselves and people will say that. Now, I'm a certified John Maxwell speaker, trainer, coach. I can use his materials, but I can't tell his story like he can tell it. So we have to tell our own story because no one can tell it better than we can. I always say, God is not looking for your impression of anybody, your impersonation of anybody. God is looking for the best you that you can be. So when we tell our story, it's the best story that we have. To us, it's the greatest story that's ever told other than Jesus Christ.
Yes.
So we have to tell our story. We just tell it with honesty, pureness, and sincerity. And that should influence, encourage, and should help anyone else to have the courage to tell their story. Somebody, I tell people all the time, you're sitting on books and songs that somebody needs to read and hear. And if you don't do it, that divine connection that they need, they can't get it because you're sitting on it. Yes. So you have to tell your story, but tell your story in the best way that you can. And it's from the heart. It's going to inspire. It's going to encourage. It's going to uplift because we've all been through something that we all call life.
Yes.
Yeah, we're all
and it has not, life for me has not been no crystal stairway. So that's my story, and I'm going to tell it.
And I'm sticking to it. I know that's the truth. And so my charge to the audience would be open to receive and check your heart when you're in the receiving position and someone is genuinely pouring out into you nuggets of wisdom, tools, resources that they have learned along the way. Check your heart. If you feel vexed, ask yourself why. Be open because it's our heart to see you live a fulfilling life, to see you free, to see you unleashed and fully liberated. That is our heart's desire. And sometimes when someone is sharing an authentic story, there is a stirring up of jealousy, envy. And we want to make sure that you understand that you don't have to feel that way, that you can change the narrative. You can change if you just become more self-aware, recognize it, see that as a trigger and see what's going on within yourself that's causing you. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to miss your blessing. You don't want to miss that life-changing opportunity that you can learn and grow from what we're sharing from you. So it's your life, own it. We love you so very much and we're out. Take care and be blessed.